and welcome to episode 4, I believe this is 4, of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. We have constructed this ship, which has been named Pan-Fried, and its destination is, at the very least, a flyby of Mun. That's way out here. But before we can do that, we actually need to go to the Space Center and upgrade a couple of buildings. Now that we have the rocket on the launch pad, we should have no problem with these two upgrades. Upgrade to tracking station, which gives us patched conics, and upgrade the mission control, which gives us flight planning. And this is, we haven't got any contracts that are particularly useful at this point. And we need some more science to open up some more contracts that could be available and stuff. So, off to the moon it is. Hopefully, we can take all this equipment with us. This is a 30-part rocket. It should be capable of reaching the moon at the very least. So, without further ado, let's start the clock and get this mission underway. I just had lunch, or dinner. We're recording, and, well, SAS on, off we go! It's actually a lot of acceleration. Whoa! Didn't mean to tip that far over. Gosh dang it. Okay. Not like that should be good. Turn SAS off and let the aerodynamics do their job. Yeah, these rocket boosters are actually pretty strong. That's okay. We are going super fast. Boom. Those things all blow up down there because they build up heat and then explode. And because we ended up going up so high so fast, I'm actually going to just use a little bit of thrust. A very little bit of thrust to increase the apoapsis up to where it needs to be. And while that's doing that, you can see what kind of burn we need for this here. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and face our maneuver node and just hit full throttle. Like so. There we go. And hopefully this should be plenty to get us into orbit and then some, as we send our guy on to Mun. So let's take a look. We're actually plunging back down in the atmosphere relatively quickly, so I actually want to face up, like so, to try and counteract the force of gravity as much as possible. Don't really need that anymore. Hopefully, gosh dang, cough. Hopefully we can actually counteract that gravity pretty good. Because we are falling into the atmosphere. What we might find is that this launch profile wasn't very good. In fact, that's what I'm inclined to say. Okay, we're climbing again. That's good. Whoa. I'm going to revert that launch. I think I can do much better than what I just did. Okay. Let us try this again. One thing I can do... So one of the reasons I set up these engines the way I did was so that I could have differential staging on them. So I'm going to make one quick tweak. This guy gets 50% thrust. This guy gets 75% thrust. So what's going to happen is these will run out of gas first and then decouple, and these run out of gas next. So let's try that little modification. That's fine, I guess. Push it over a little bit to 10 degrees or so. And just let the fins do their jobs. Although this time, nope. This time I pitched over too soon, too early. A little bit of trial and error here. We need to get more up before we get some of that over. Straight up. Until we hit about 50 meters per second. Then we'll pitch over to 10 degrees. Turn off SAS. So the rocket can do its thing. Yeah, it's weird that it reverted that launch, but oh well. Works out fine in the end, I suppose. So we get ourselves ready and moonbound. I need to turn this music down just a smidge. It's awfully loud. There we go. About ready to dump a stage. Off it goes. Kaboom. Apply full throttle for the next stage. And once again, just hanging tight while we get ourselves going up. All right. That's it for those. We are now... Excuse my coughing. We are now on our way. We've got the apoapsis up to where it needs to be. Okay, now flip over to orbit mode. And we'll use the internal rotation controls to get there. Now, very quickly, we have a new tool available where we can add these maneuver nodes and we can change all these different thrust vectors we're going to apply. We're just going to apply straight prograde thrust. And the task of this is to, circularize our orbit. That is to make our orbit a circle, or as close to a circle as possible. We have that all set up. There's the maneuver node. Estimated burn time is 1 minute and 20 seconds. So what you want to do with these maneuvers is split the difference and start the burn halfway before that. So about 40 seconds is what we're going to go for. Just like that. Yeah, this stage has plenty of fuel. Hopefully plenty of fuel to get us into orbit and largely get us on the way to Mun. To the moon, to Mun, Mun the moon, which is over there. Valentina Kerman on our way to a great new adventure. Get back on this marker, please. You can see our orbit changing quite drastically as we apply horizontal velocity here. The apoapsis is already beginning to rise. Now I can aim for a little bit more closer to perfection now. Get close to this apoapsis, apply some thrust. Get a little closer to the apoapsis. Apply some thrust. There's the periapsis coming out. Apply a little bit of thrust, and then boom, just like that. Relatively circular orbit. Now that we are in space, above Kerbin, we're looking for when to depart Kerbin for Mun. And usually it's somewhere along here when the Mun is rising. We're going to go ahead and set this as the target. And we're going to apply this much thrust. So what we're doing is we're creating a highly elliptical orbit. It's referred to as a Hohmann transfer orbit that should, with any luck, meet the moon out here. Something like that. And we can tweak where it's happening to get a better encounter. There is essentially a collision encounter with the moon. So the estimated burn for this is only 29 seconds with the current engine. We know we don't have 29 seconds worth of fuel. So I'll probably start the burn early and then adjust for this engine here. Now that we're in orbit though, we have the capability of warping to our next maneuver. Okay. We're coming up on it. Pretty quick. Get prograde, girl. That's the only thing about not having a bigger reaction wheel. Full power. Kerbal Engineer has joined the channel. Hello, Kerbal Engineer. I just got back from a meal break, so a lot of people probably took off to go get their own meals. But we are moonbound. With anything resembling any luck at all. This little engine is the engine that could. This career's first flyby of the moon. Little ship on a Terrier engine. I am going to save this science experiment for actual lunar orbit. So I get the maximum amount of science out of it that we can for our one use of the thing. Okay, we're approaching quickly. We'll go ahead and throttle it back. About like that. Now it looks like we don't need any plane change or anything. Our plane is good enough. So we warp here. This episode will probably be a little bit longer. Actually, now that we're out here in deeper space, let's do some stuff. Get a crew report. So this is in space high over Kerbal. We'll get an EVA. Also in space high over Kerbal. Keep that. Take this information out and store it all. And then board. And we are all set to take another crew report and stuff when we reach the moon. So let's warp here. Watch as the moon approaches. Kerbal Engineer asks, how's everyone doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I get to record Kerbal Space Program with one of my favorite things to do, so I am pretty darn happy. Backspace key gets you back to your own ship, by the way. There we are. Now what we're going to do is we're going to establish ourselves. Hang on. Do we have enough to get into orbit? That was about 45 seconds worth of burn. I'm just doing this to get a burn vector. I'm actually going to fly this part manually. Whoops. Okay, maneuver node, you can go away now. So with respect, we're in orbit. This is the radial out marker. And what I want to do is I just want to use this to burn sideways, like this. Basically, I'm burning that away. To raise up this periapsis away from the moon's surface to maybe 20 kilometers. And that took very little fuel. In fact, what I can do, hang on, I'm just curious. I need to see something. 1.6. 1.6 fuel per second. Calculator time. Is anybody hyped for KS being ported to PS4? I definitely am. More exposure to KSP. That's one of the reasons I'm redoing episodes for the career, starting over, is because as soon as the console gamers get it, they are going to be going crazy, and there's going to be looking at episodes and stuff and wanting to get information. Wow, look at all these records we broke. So 1.6, 109 divided by 1.6. This tells me I have 68 seconds of fuel. And I can use that information focus view. They changed how that many works. I can use that information to figure stuff out. How much fuel does it take me to get into orbit? It takes 15 seconds of fuel to get into orbit. We're getting into orbit, boys. We are getting into orbit around the moon. I'm going to double check that. 109 divided by 1.6. 68 seconds minus 15 for entering orbit. 15 again for leaving orbit, leaving 38 seconds of fuel left for messing around. Excellent. I wonder if I could land with this. That is ambitious. But we are now in space high over the moon. That much I know. So it is crew report time. Crew report while in space high over the moon. You look down at the cold gray surface. It looks really beat up with craters. Let's get an EVA report. EVA report while in space high over the moon. You record your observations about the situation. As we often do. We'll go ahead and take all this data, board with it again, and that resets the crew report. Let's get ourselves pointed at the marker. Doop. It's going to be that simple. Really is. Warp here. So we're going to warp on in to there. Well, actually, we can warp to our next. We can warp to a maneuver now. Everything is all set. A 15-second burn at full throttle. Unfortunately, we're on the dark side, so I'll do this from the orbital map since it'll be a little easier to see. You know, at least there's something to see as opposed to just the darkness of the moon. Fast forward a little bit more. Okay, we are pretty much right on the money. I'll go ahead and face retrograde. 10, 8. You can see our speed slowing down quite rapidly here. A little bit of thrust. And that is good enough for me. Done with that. Okay. Hello everybody, this is Abraham, Chief Video Officer for Kerbal Space Program. This episode has run awfully long and we've decided to split it in multiple parts. Please check out the next part, which should be available soon.